I've got a 92 Suzuki DR250. I think 92 is a year. I could be off. And it's one that they made as a dual sport and has accommodations for a speedometer on it. Like the drive unit for the speedometer's down here. You take this little cap off and you should be able to thread. Get that off there. You can see that little, you may not be able to with the glare, that a rectangular shaped drive in there for a speedometer cable. You can buy the cables online really cheap. I'll put a link to the one that I bought down at the bottom, and I'll put a link to the speedometer. This speedometer is in kilometers per hour, and they're really cheap on Amazon, these mechanical speedometers, but I wasn't sure if it would mesh with the speedometer cable, and I'm not sure how it's going to read, if it's going to read accurately. We're going to find all that stuff out, and I'm going to show you how you install it. There's some information if I haven't put that on there. This is for the speedometer itself. So to install this, we're going to remove this handlebar nut. I think I'm going to put it on the right side here because I'm not sure if that speedometer cable is going to reach if I put it on the left. We're going to remove that bolt, not a nut, and use that to hold this speedometer in place, and then we'll reinstall that bumper pad that was on here. Something I didn't show you is this has quite a few wires that run into it for accommodations for other things. It looks like this comes with a neutral light, a high beam, and a blinker, and I'm assuming the other wires are probably to power up a backlight on this. And then it does come with a plug, and you can funnel these wires in wherever on that plug that you need. A 6-position or a 6-slot plug, which of course may or may not work with what you're using. But anyway, I thought I'd show you that too, because this whole thing was like $6. We got our speedometer mounted in there, kilometers per hour, remember, it does say that on there. Couldn't find a cheap one in miles per hour. And then we can put our padding back on here and put our little Renthal Velcro thing back on. I'm not going to do that until this is completely done though. I went ahead and screwed in this speedometer cable before I put it in there because I didn't want to have to funnel it back in and then reach in this little gap to screw it onto the Speedo. And then I took these two mounting bolts out of the number plate. I'll put those back in a minute. There's something important to show you down here though, where it mounts into the other end of this cable, goes into the motorcycle. We'll have to remove that screw there, and you can see where it engages in that rectangular shape, and then where the screw, sorry about my lighting, where that screw kind of goes on the edge, and that's what will hold, that will go through this groove, and that's what will retain this in this little speedometer hub assembly deal. You also remember to oil your O-ring. Now this screw, it looks like a Phillips, and a lot of you guys probably know this by now, but you see that little dot on there? That means it's a JIS. It's not a Phillips. If you put a Phillips in there, and if it's tight at all, you will strip this thing out. You'll find that on Japanese carburetors all the time. I even found it on my barbecue grill recently. If you see that little dot, it's a JIS, and you need to get a JIS screwdriver. I bought a Vessel brand off Amazon years ago, and I love the thing. Use it way more than I ever thought I would. So don't even bother taking that out with a normal Phillips. You'll ruin it. Something I also want to mention before I go ahead and see if it's reading the right speed or not. You want to get a zip tie around here. You can make yourself a bracket. That would be the right way to do it. Make yourself a little bracket and retainer for this cable, and I may do that sometime, but I'm not ready to do it today. Or you could even tap that for whatever size you wanted and mount your bracket that way as a retainer for this cable. Otherwise this cable will run into your tire there.